Ladies and gentlemen, as they say, are you ready for some football? Dave Fazzini and Mark Kolodinsky here live at Sassano's, home of the world's best pork sandwich. In fact, some say the inventor of the pork sandwich. But Mark, although we have conquered many a meal before us, and this spread before us makes us look like utter gluttons, and that's a good thing, not a bad thing. We're here tonight to talk about football. The Norristown Eagles against the Downingtown East Whippets. In the hierarchy of violent animals, the eagle would seize a whippet, which is a small dog-like creature, and it would grab it. I think that, just guessing, I think it would. It would snatch it with its talons and rip out its throat with its fangs. But I don't know if eagles have fangs. But more specifically, what we're here to talk about is what the Norristown Eagles need to do if they hope to emerge victorious against the Whippets. So, Mark, we have a bunch of stats, we have a bunch of facts and figures. What really jumps out at you as being the real key to this game if Norristown's going to win?
One thing that encourages me a lot about Norristown, I mean, of course they're the higher seed. They're the 6th seed into these District 1 playoffs as opposed to Downingtown East, who's an 11 seed. So, I mean, and the home field advantage. So automatically you're off, it's a good thing. So then Norristown comes in on fire, really. Over their past 5 games, they've allowed just under 4 points a game. And if not for that safety against Chester, they would have 4 shutouts. Of course, with the safety, only 3. In 5 games, I mean, wow. And 5 straight wins in that time. And Norristown, over the season also, has won the games by an average of 19.2 points. An average of 19.2 points. So, yeah, I mean, they're on fire. They had that one slip-up against Upper Dublin, or they could be 10-0. So they got to avoid that occasional down game. If they can do that, they should get the win. I think they could win by 2 scores, perhaps.
Now, here's where Norristown sometimes gets a little bit off track. Norristown has an explosive offense. This much is true. They always have. And they run it behind Mayer. They get the backs in the eye, but they also use Roby a lot, and they get Milo Hill involved. A real key tonight for the Eagles is going to be just striking that consistency. They want to get Mayer involved, certainly get him started early, but then also perhaps if Downingtown really keys on him, getting some of the other guys involved. Now, Norristown sometimes has difficulty in the first half. Downingtown East has been plagued with similar problems, and their fates largely rest on the shoulders of number 38, Drew Harris. He is the man for them with over 1,400 yards. He would be like their equivalent to Sheldon Mayer. They're every down back who just gets the job done. What's Norristown's defense got to do tonight to make sure that Drew Harris doesn't skewer them the way he's butchered so many opposing defenses?
Well, Coach E.J. Smith was quoted on suburban1sports.com saying that the Downingtown East Cougars like to spread you out and then run up the inside. So, I'm not sure how the Eagles will match up against that. I mean, if you spread them out and, running up the middle, we've seen that that's been successful against the Eagles relative to other methods. Running around the outside, that doesn't work with Mayer, Roby, and all those fast guys. The passing game, I mean, you got to test Mayer or Roby, and you got to test the pass rush. That's probably not the best way to go. So the inside running game matches up well against the Eagles' defense, so that's a little bit scary. So, I don't know. I mean, we'll see if the Eagles can, if the Whippets are able to spread them out and hand it off inside. We'll see if the Eagles' defensive line is up to the task.
And the defensive line is going to really need to contend with that. What you said, Mark, is really an astute point. The way that a defense is situated, in the way that they're positioned, an offensive line really can do a lot of damage up front by spreading their offensive linemen out just a step or 2 wider. That makes a big benefit for the offense, and the defense can't contend with it. Norristown's strength up front is not their speed, never has been. Norristown's strength is their size. Well, size in that case can be counteracted by a good trap game with a lot of counters and pulling guards. They get those guards to pull, they get some wide splits. Norristown hasn't showed that they can match up against that. They really have their Achilles heel up front. With the tackles, even though they're strong and even though they're deep at that position, they're not fast. So look for Downingtown East to try to exploit that this evening.
I think what would be huge for the Eagles is to have some big contributions in the run defense from guys like Ant Dinolfi, Milo Hill, some of those defensive backs. I mean, Milo Hill, this guy, yeah, I guess he's technically a defensive back, but he's built like a linebacker with the speed of a defensive back, so he can help support against the run. Ant Dinolfi, he can help support against the run. I mean, there's no doubts about that. This guy, the free safety, and I mean, he's a compactly built, great tackler, so he can definitely help. And yeah, I think that the secondary really needs to focus on the run, because Downingtown East, the passing game's respectable, but I mean, you have to stop the run. That's your primary goal. If they're going to beat you, you got to say they're going to beat us with the pass. Harris is not going to beat us. That's what you have to be saying to your team if you're the Eagles.
Well, that's a good point. And as we go down and transition down to Roosevelt Field tonight, and we leave you here from Sassano's at the pregame show, we want to leave you with that. The key for Norristown's defense is going to be stopping Harris. They can shut him down. They're going to stop the 8-2 Downingtown East Whippets. If they can't do that, it could be a very long night down at cold but historic Roosevelt Field, where the winds are going to be gusting. But who cares? It's playoff time. I'm Dave Fazzini with Mark Kolodinsky. We'll see you down at Roosevelt. At Roosevelt Field for some exciting, hard-hitting football action. Dave Fazzini and Mark Kolodinsky in the booth tonight, and it is a playoff atmosphere. Cyclonic winds are sweeping the earth clean. There are gusts here that make the weathermen tremble and are making the flags rip through the air and tear from the poles that try to constrain them to no avail. But Mark, we got a game to play. We can't just be talking about weather all the time. What's going on here tonight?
Man.
Why are we so fired up?
2003 is the last time we were here. And man, Roosevelt Field hosting a playoff game. Does it get any better than this? I don't think it does.
It certainly does not get any better tonight. And as tonight, we've got our band with us. We've got a lot of stuff going on that we don't normally see. This is really, really great night for football. We thought the elements weren't going to be with us, but Mark, we're wrong. This is a great night for football.
Oh yeah, the rain has ceased. The wind is, it's breezy. And yeah, I mean, it's a nice night. It's cool. But you know, when you're in the playoffs, you experience cold weather and you take it gladly because you're in the playoffs.
You gladly take that cold weather. You welcome it. You cherish it. You want it to happen. And the captains are out in midfield for Norristown. The captains, number 25, Sheldon Mayer, number 81, Evan Battaglio, number 63, Nick Bloomer, number 65, Marcus Robbins. For the captains for the Downingtown East Whippets, we got number 4, Dylan Dittmer. We got number 44, Mike Tucker, number 54, Chris Scaviccio, number 55, Zilvinis Avellino, and number 58, Luke Hiller. The referees are conference ed at the 50-yard line, and we are about to get underway here tonight.
We got a matchup of two great running backs. Harris for the Whippets and Mayer for the Eagles. Sheldon Mayer rushed for 1,415 yards, a robust 1,415 yards during the regular season. But guess what? It doesn't matter anymore. Nobody looks at that anymore. It's gone. I mean, they look at it because they're going to try to defend it.
Right.
But how much does it mean right now? Pretty much nothing, because we're in the playoffs now. It's a new season. And, man, I just can't wait to get this thing underway.
Oh, man, and Norristown's got some different personnel back there tonight, pulling out all the stops. Looks like number 27, Brandon Shippen. We got number 3, Antonofsky.
And 18, Akeem Boyd,
And 18, Akeem Boyd back there. Almost called him Alex, remembering how hard his brother played for the Norristown Eagles football's team. But young Denofi is a star in his own right. Number 3 back there in the middle. He cleans up the trash.
Well, we got great fan support here for the Eagles tonight. We got great fan support for the Whippets, too. The kickoff is off, and we're underway. It's a short kick, fielded by number 8, Eric Handy Jr. He goes to the outside. He's got some room. He's to midfield. He goes down the sideline. He's got some room. Gets a block from Shippen. Still on his feet. All the way down to the Whippets' 20-yard line. What a start.
What a start for the Eagles. Oh, my goodness. The Whippets did not want that to happen. They do not want Norristown to get that kind of field position. And, Mark, that's a great start for the Eagles here tonight. They just got to capitalize on these big plays.
We talk about all the weapons they have. But, man, I mean, you kick it away. You kick it to avoid Denolfi, Boyd, Shippen. And Eric Handy Jr. grabs it and runs it back 50 yards. Where did this guy come from?
Who knows? He just came out of nowhere. Comes out of nowhere. Norristown starts with an empty backfield. What do you think about that?
Well, they got Battaglio back there as wide receiver, as they like to do in the red zone. They're about a yard short of the red zone now, but they'll go to it. Oh, and that screen's incomplete for Roby. In fact, Wow, well, they say it was incomplete. May have actually been backward, but either way, 2nd and 10.
Now, Shannon Mayer looked a little nervous there. Overthrew his man on the wide receiver screen. Mark, I'm not a big fan of that play, but they did it right on that. They did it right there. It looked like Mayer was going to have some blocking out in front. The reason I never liked the wide receiver screen is because you don't get blockers out in front, but on that one, they looked like they had designed some linemen getting out there for him. There are 2 receivers on that side. They did it right. Mayer just couldn't get it to him.
Shannon Mayer, of course, a sophomore in these playoffs, so that might be a factor we'll look for. Here's Shannon Mayer now handing it off. And banging it up inside for a loss is Sheldon Mayer.
With backs in the eye there, you pretty much have to guess that it's going to go to Sheldon. Now, nothing wrong with getting to him. You want to get it to him early. You want to get that ball moving. You want to get things explosive. But you need to vary it up a little bit too. Just making sure that you get a nice balance in the offense.
3rd and 13 here on
13.
Friday the 13th. Battaglia once again lined up, split out as a wide receiver, and 3 receivers to the left side. Just Presley in the backfield. Mayer dropping back to throw, has some intense pressure in his face, and he's brought down. He's sacked. That is number 54, Captain Chris Scavaccio on the sack. And man, after a great kick return, the Eagles now aren't even really in legit field goal range.
They can't kick this. They've got to, I guess they punt.
Man, I mean, you certainly can't go for it. You certainly can't kick a field goal, so I guess you just punt it.
You can't go for this. You punt it, and hopefully you don't kick it into the end zone, and you
try to pin him back as far as possible.
Downingtown East is no joke, Mark. They come here to play tonight. They know what the stakes. They know what the stakes are, and really, that's an impressive defensive stand.
Hillenbrand back to punt. Fields the snap. Gets off a nice, high, deep kick right to about the 5, and it's downed at the 2 by Brandon Shippen.
Awesome.
Expertly done. Wow.
Shippen and Boyd were both there. We talk a lot about Boyd and how he gets downfield like a monster, but Brandon Shippen, Mark, in the last couple weeks, this kid is a star in the making.
Yeah, that won't show up on the stat sheet, but what a play. And this punt team against Chester a couple weeks ago, they did cost the team some points with a safety as the snap went over Hillenbrand's head. But for the most part, what's been a weakness a year ago has turned into a strength.
Exactly. And now they've got him pinned back at the 2. And I don't know if this team has a 98-yard drive in them, so we'll see. This is a great spot for a defensive safety and a great spot to get some pressure up the middle.
They use motion and now hand it off. And they'll get to about the 10 and still plowing forward is Chris Harris. Like a train with Eagles draped all over him, still plunges forward, gets a robust 15 yards.
Now Harris is 6'2", 195. He's big, and he's wearing number 38. That's a big man's number in the backfield. So Harris is no joke.
Yeah, he's just a sophomore, kind of like Mayer. So, again, these young guys in these playoff games, we'll see if it affects anybody. Once again, they use motion. Now they hand it off to Drew Harris once more. He plunges through the middle. This time they're able to bring him down after a short gain.
Good play there by Robbins and Bloomer up the middle. We talked in the pregame show about the fact that Norristown's had some trouble stopping that run up the middle and getting gashed, but they held him to a gain of 2 on that play. Nicely done, interior to D-line.
The Eagles' defense has allowed, take out the safety that they gave up against Chester on special teams. They've allowed exactly 3 points a game over their past 5. That's unbelievable. And here's Drew Harris once more. He's got some room to the outside, and he falls forward and picks up a solid 5 yards.
Nice run by Harris off tackle right there. He had some good lead blockers. It's going to be 3rd and very short here with 9 minutes to go in the first quarter. Playoff action, and the atmosphere is absolutely electric.
I think with Drew Harris, you can't let this guy get past the defensive line and get ahead of steam, because if you do, he just carries guys on his back and falls forward for those extra yards. And now there's flags before the snap. Is this going to bring up 3rd and 7?
Might be encroachment on the Eagles there. It looked like we moved first, but they're going to call it against Downingtown East.
So the Eagles get a break. It'll be 3rd and 7 instead of 3rd and 2 with a power back like Chris Harris or Drew Harris in the backfield. That's big.
Now, generally, if they feel like the defensive line was called and like if they came off because they were prompted to by movement, no matter how subtle on the offensive line, they'll call it. I didn't see it from up here, but we're pretty far away. It looked like Bloomer moved, but evidently he was drawn off. Referees made the right call.
3rd and 7. Once again, motion for the Whippets of Downingtown East.
Here comes the rush.
They get it off, though, and they're going to pick up the first down and about an extra yard as they complete it to Max Naruski.
Linebackers were nowhere to be found on that play. The Norristown linebackers are going to need to do a better job staying home and keeping that from opening up. If you get good pass protection like they did on that play, the Whippets did, you get good pass protection, you're going to have a man come over the middle, you're going to be able to get it to him.
Trey Lauletta is the quarterback for the Whippets, and he's just a junior, so this Downingtown East team pretty young in its offensive stars. And they hand it off to Drew Harris, and he is met at the line, falls forward for a few, but good interior defense by the Eagles once again. So we've played 4 minutes, we have no score. I'm Mark Kolodinsky, alongside Dave Fazzini for NASD TV.
Backs in the eye, Mark.
2nd and 7, and once again they give it to Drew Harris. Trey Lauletta, the quarterback, took a spill after giving off the handoff, and Harris is met at the line for a minimal gain, and the Eagles are doing a great job inside, stopping Harris at the line.
They're not looking to give up much up the middle here, Mark. I really think that the Whippets are going to have to find another strategy to be able to gash the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, it's early. They've only been on offense for a couple minutes now, but they do look a little one-dimensional early. So
one-dimensional.
They got to break out of that before it becomes too much of a problem.
Right.
Although the Eagles can't fall into that same hole either with Sheldon Mayer, but we'll see how that develops when they're on offense. Here's Lauletta dropping back. He wants to go deep down the field, and they fall down, and yeah, that's a pass interference as that's Shippen on the far side falling down, and his only play was to knock the guy down.
This is interesting. One referee looked like he waved off the flag. One referee looked like he continued to throw it.
Oh, that's got to be a flag.
It's got to be a flag, you'd think, but he looked like he waved it off. So we'll see what the outcome is here.
I feel like Shippen...
They are calling a pass interference.
Yeah, I feel like Shippen fell down, lost his footing or whatever, and actually made the astute play by grabbing the player by the ankles and tripping him up rather than allowing the long touchdown.
Rather than allowing a long touchdown, right.
So, I mean,
well,
damage control.
Anything's better than the long touchdown, but the Eagles D is going to have to dig him out of this little hole here now.
And pass interference in high school, not a spot foul, so they'll just move it up a couple yards.
Right.
So, right on cue, Downingtown East shows a little bit of its multi-dimensioned offense.
A 98-yard drive would not be unprecedented in high school football. It would certainly be rare.
Well, here's that spread-out offense that Coach E.J. Smith said the Whippets like to run, and now they will go up the middle with Drew Harris, like he also says they do. And Evan Battaglio making the play in the backfield. What a monster.
Manful play by Battaglio right there. He's tough to stop. He's so big and so strong. He's one of those guys we talked about in the pregame show, just committed to that weightlifting program. He just lowers his shoulder and smacks people around.
You know what, for a lot of these seniors, this could be their last football game ever. Period. So, I mean, you're going to see a lot of heart out there, and for Downingtown East as well.
Right.
And that's why it just makes it even more intense than it already is. Here's Harris again, and there's what we're talking about. He kind of gets past the defensive line, and that allows him to get 5 or 6.
Douglas and the gang bring him down pretty quickly. He gets a couple yards up the middle, but it's going to be 3rd and 5 for Downingtown with 6 minutes, 15 seconds left to go in the first quarter.
Boy, Downingtown East, it seems like they've been in a lot of third down situations.
Yeah. But they've been converting them, Mark.
They have, indeed. Eagles need to bear down on that third down defense. Of course, they've had third down and manageable almost every time, it seems.
Yeah. They can't let that pass over the middle.
They play action to Harris.
Naked boot.
And hit as he throws, and it's intercepted by Sheldon Mayer. He's got room to run. He goes to the outside. Oh, and he's just barely tripped up, just short of midfield.
Flag on the play.
A late flag comes in from the backfield. And I'm assuming that interception is going to stand because the flag was thrown on the return. But, boy, we'll see what it is. But Sheldon Mayer, last week he came up with a huge interception along with his 241 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns. He did it all last week. And this week, off to a great start.
You got to love Sheldon Mayer's game. He was there, he was waiting, he made a play, and Norristown's defense transitions to offense so quickly. They're such a scary team on both sides of the ball, and you saw the way Derek Williams got out there, and even though it was called back, Derek Williams got out there, quickly turned into a blocker. They all turned into blockers very quickly. Great heads-up play, but unfortunately, the return yardage was wiped out.
Yeah, by a holding call on the Eagles. But, yeah, their star ball carriers are their defensive backs, Mayer, Roby. As Mayer's hitting the backfield, but somehow escapes the tackle. Still dancing around. He's in major trouble and ends up losing big yardage. That one wasn't going anywhere except backwards.
They're keying on Mayer tonight for good reason.
Right. So
it's going to be 2nd down and 15 for the Eagles. But they could use their over pursuit of Mayer to their advantage. Perhaps a couple draw plays or something to get them off guard can really turn that over pursuit of Mayer there into a real big thing for the Eagles. So we'll have to see how they'd use that.
2nd and 15. Want to get some positive yardage here. Some early movement along the lines, and both teams moving as Taj Alexander for the Whippets came across the line, but was he induced? He was not, and it's against the Whippets.
Yep. 5-yard call against the Whippets. That one's going to come and get a couple of those yards back for Norristown.
Yeah, they'll be back at the original line of scrimmage, 2nd and 10.
Yeah. The drums are banging.
So here we go. This drive courtesy of a Sheldon Mayer interception. And now the Eagles line up in the shotgun with Mayer as a wide receiver. Now motions in. The snap is bobbled by Shannon Mayer, and now it's Presley to the outside. Not much room to go, and that bobbled handoff kind of ruined that play.
Yeah, they were going to do a little maybe Statue of Liberty kind of play right there, but that one got messed up by virtue of the bobbled snap. And we've seen in the past couple weeks, we've seen some real circus kind of goings on with the snaps and stuff not getting where they need to be. That can't happen tonight. They have to be heads up and they play with discipline and focus if they're going to make sure that that kind of chicanery doesn't go on.
Battaglia once again split out, and Mayer in the shotgun. Whippets showing blitz, and they bring it. Here's Mayer rolling out in some serious trouble. He's thrown down to the ground for a big loss, and Mayer spikes the ball in frustration. I think that's what the flag's
15 yards.
For spiking
He's going to get
ball.
a 15-yard on sportsmanlike conduct on that. Mark, I see the problem. They figured out Mayer's snap count. They had two guys coming across the ball right at the time when Mayer snapped it. He called hike, but they anticipated his snap count. Mayer's going to need to vary that up just a little bit, and then he spikes the ball down in frustration. It's understandable frustration, but he can't do that.
Yeah, that's tough. Just lost his composure a little bit, I guess. That's going to bring up 3rd and forever.
3rd and forever.
3rd and forget about it. It's actually 4th, excuse me.
The Eagles will have to punt.
Good pressure by the Whippets, but Hillenbrand does get it off. It'll bounce and take a little bit of a neutral bounce and then rolls the Eagles' way for about 3 yards and shipping downs it there.
We could see a pattern developing here. It's going to be a battle of the defenses. Anybody who expected a real high-scoring game here tonight, I think you're going to be let down, but I think you're in for a defensive treat between two evenly matched teams.
It's going to be a heck of a game because the Eagles, we mentioned how they have won their games by an average of 19.2 points. And this game is going to be very, very tightly contested because this Downingtown East team at 8-2 is by far the best team they've played all year by record, and Harris plunges forward for a few.
I don't think anybody's winning by 19.2 here tonight.
I don't see it. And the Norristown defense has been on fire. As we said, allowing just 3 points a game in their past 5, including 3 shutouts and one that would have been a shutout if not for a safety called by the special teams. So, man, this defense is getting it done, and you're seeing it right now.
Gotta love the defensive play for the Eagles.
Valletta hands off to Harris. He's their horse. Goes to the outside and is forced out of bounds. But he may have gotten the first down. It'll be close.
He's real close. If he didn't pick it up, he's really close. Don't think he's going to have picked it up. I think it's going to be 3rd and very short for the Whippets.
So as you said, neither offense really getting in any kind of rhythm so far. And now the Whippets will try to convert 3rd and about 1/3 of a yard.
Harris looks bigger than those 195 pounds that's attributed to him.
And he gets this first down here and finishes it off with a manful blow.
very manful, lowering his shoulders and smacking people around.
Yeah, they say run behind your pads and lower the pads and everything. Forget about it. This guy lowers his helmet and bashes into you. I would not want to be a defender out there trying to defend against Harris.
You see what I mean, Mark, about him being like seeming bigger than 195 pounds? He looks about 210, 215 out there. He looks like a big guy, hard to bring down.
Here he is being spilled on the backfield by C.J. Douglas. C.J. Douglas knows how to wrap up a guy as he goes for the knees, drags him down from the ankles. And that's why he's one of the leading tacklers in the Suburban One League.
Great tackler, C.J. Douglas, and he really should get some all first-team consideration for Suburban One.
Yeah, and the thing about Harris, very different from Mayer, by the way. He's pretty much one cutting up the field. And a straight line, north-south kind of guy, like, you know, a slasher, I guess you'd say.
Right.
And, you know, he's not going around. He's going through you. They give it to him again. Bounces it to the outside, still being run out to the sideline. And that was actually number 28, Mike DiStefano, who spells Harris here.
Uh-oh. There's an injured Eagle on the field as Dr. Nebulous and Mr. Flynn come out to tend to.
It's Derek Williams. I'm not sure, though.
Can't see numbers yet.
I do believe it's Williams. Didn't really see what happened.
Didn't really see what happened. So many football injuries happen that way, though. It's tough to see.
Yeah.
Like when the players get all caught up in the play, in the middle of a play, and bound up with each other. You can't really see what happens where.
It is indeed senior Derek Williams, and he gets up in his own power. Let's see if he can walk on it. He's walking off quite gingerly, and Edwards and Perez will come out to assist him off the field. And now he's on his own power. I'm not a doctor, but I don't know. What do you think? It's kind of in that middle ground.
It looks like his ankle. Looks like his right ankle might be bothering him a little bit. Maybe he turned it a little.
I expect him to be back.
I'm sure they're going to take a look at him on the sideline, possibly tape him up a little bit and see what's happening.
But what does his absence do to this defense? No matter how long it is or short.
Derek Williams is certainly their most aggressive run blitzer, so when they choose to run blitz, Williams is their go-to guy for that. He's great at breaking stuff up in the backfield. We definitely got to keep our eye on his absence.
Harris on third downs got some room to the sideline and is finally wrestled out of bounds, but not before picking up the first and a lot more.
It's funny that Williams goes out on that play, and then Harris, perhaps not so coincidentally, picks up his biggest run of the day so far.
That's a great point.
Right where Derek Williams would be.
Again, some stuff that doesn't show up on the stat sheet.
Right.
I mean, all of his tackles do, but he influences so many runs and play calling, and it was evident there.
Yeah.
Here's Harris. They just keep handing it to him, and why not? And he's brought down by Marcus Robbins and some other blue jerseys.
Well, clearly, Downingtown East thinks that they saw in Norristown's film a weakness or softness somewhere off tackle and perhaps between the tackles. If they keep going to that and they keep picking up yardage, it could be a long night for the Eagles.
Yeah, and it's like they're having success with it, and they're not even pretending to go anywhere
Right.
else. They're just saying, stop it, you know, or we're going to keep calling it.
Perhaps a run blitz or two to break something up in the backfield might.
Here he goes, straight up the field, bowling over guys and coming up about a couple yards short of the first down stick.
Couple yards short of the first, but at the same time, if they're going to run this, they're not going to run it on 3rd and 5 here, 3rd and 6. But we'll see.
I don't know. They may.
They may. If they're that confident. I mean, backs are in the eye again. Single wing, backs are in the eye.
26 seconds left to go in the quarter. They pitch it to him. He's got some room to the outside. Will he pick it up?
Yep.
And he falls forward just enough to get it. Man, this guy finishes his runs. I mean,
sure does.
Every carry, he's falling forward to get that extra 2 or 3 yards. I mean, if this guy continues to average 4, 5, 6 yards a carry, and they just keep handing it to him every time, they're just going to go down the field.
They're going to measure. Oh, wait, they do just give it to him.
Yeah, he got it. He got it.
Yeah. Very confusing situation there.
So that's the end of the first quarter with no score here on NESD TV. Playoff football. First round of the District 1 PIAA playoffs, and the Eagles And the Whippets of Downingtown East remain scoreless. I'm Mark Holodinsky, and along with Dave Fazzini, and no score, but who do you think had a better quarter?
Both teams were evenly matched, but I have to say that if one team had a better quarter, it was Downingtown East. They showed me a lot winning that battle of field position, bringing that big. They were at a huge deficit down there. That could have been really scary. Taylor Hillenbrand with a great punt that pinned them all the way back at the 2-yard line. Beautiful punt. Great coverage by Brandon Shippen. But Downingtown East really showed a lot of fortitude by getting out and getting in good field position. Then, of course, they've turned the ball over to the Mayer interception. But I got to give that quarter to Downingtown East, even though, like you said, stuff's not showing up on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it was really evenly matched. Could this be one of those games where the Eagles give up a lot on the ground and they bend but don't break, and then at halftime they make adjustments and come out dominant? Because we've seen it many, many times.
It looks like it's going to have to be one of those games because they're giving up a lot. If they get out of this drive without giving up points, they've won a moral victory.
But the Whippets are on the 18-yard line of the Eagles, inside the red zone now, threatening to put the first points of the game on the board.
It's time for a turnover.
Sure is. And the Eagles are getting extremely thin at linebacker. Charles Tibbs is out there now. I saw Nico DeSilvio on the bench. I don't know exactly what's going on there, but Charles Tibbs is in at linebacker. Harris in the backfield. They use some motion. And they give it to Harris, who goes straight up the middle. Brought down from the back by Najee Harris, but a solid gain of about 6.
That thinness at linebacker is beginning to show just a bit as they're getting some consistent yards up the middle. Not big yards, but you don't need big yards. You just need 4 or 5 a play.
Yeah, they basically, they're the opposite of what the Eagles are.
Yes.
The Eagles are all about big plays, you know,
And
a couple
putting up
here, a couple there,
yeah.
big plays, long touchdowns. And these Whippets are just grinding it out, 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, you know, just grinding it out. Here's Harris to the outside, plunges forward, and he'll end up at about the 7-yard line of the Eagles.
The Eagles' defense so far has not seemed to come up with a prescription for stopping Harris. They've got to put
everyone in the box and just
Yeah.
they got to use their defensive backs, like I said pregame, and just try to tempt Downingtown East to throw.
Right.
I mean, like I said, if you lose this game, if you're the Eagles, you're going to say the only way we lose this game is if we're beat by the pass. And Lauletta, they hand it off to Harris. He goes up the middle, and he bursts into the end zone. It's 6-0 Whippets.
Pretty much untouched right there. Harris up the middle. Great blocking by Downingtown East's line. Norristown can't get frustrated, but they've got to come back. They've got to answer. They've got to answer that.
Well, the last time the Eagles had a deficit was 2-0 in that Chester game.
Yeah.
But before that,
Oh, man.
you have to go back to Wissahickon
Yeah.
when
The
they
last-
won by 5 points
When they
ultimately.
won, right. The last time, the Eagles had been down on the scoreboard.
They haven't had a deficit this big since 5 weeks ago. The extra point is up. Looks good, and it's good.
Is good. Downingtown having no such misadventures as sometimes Norristown has had with some extra points. Big return here. Norristown needs a big return, maybe even some points off special teams.
Now, does the weakness of schedule and the blowout nature of a lot of their wins, does that kind of, you know, you're not really, do you feel like the Eagles lack like a battle-testedness? You know, like a team like the Whippets maybe had some tougher opponents and they're kind of used to being in close games, close situations. The Eagles really aren't.
Well, there's an old adage, Mark, you got to beat who you play. And Norristown's schedule, they're in a conference that's a little bit smaller than Downingtown's. Downingtown plays in a bigger conference. Downingtown's had to play some teams that are higher ranked in the state. I'm not sure if it's the level of competition that Norristown's played or the fact that they haven't been down. I think that the question you asked about them being down, I think that has more to do with it. Because teams that have to play from behind a lot, have to overcome and struggle with adversity, Norristown not being down could just put the pedal to the metal and blow teams out. I'm very interested to see how your point plays out and whether or not Norristown can overcome this and get back in the game. That's only 7-0.
Only 3 of their 9 wins were by 1 scorer. And this is another short kickoff. And it's scooped up. And the Eagles will get a short return, and he's still fighting forward, getting just shy of the 35. So now the offense comes out, they got to bounce back.
They got to know to get on that ball. They got to know it's not a punt, that it's a live ball. Don't let it bounce too much.
Yeah, and don't be tempted to let it roll out of bounds.
Don't be tempted to let it roll out of bounds.
The last thing you can do is have the kicking team recover. The Eagles actually done that a few times this season. They did it against West Hicken.
They did it against,
Akeem Boyd, that's what he does. 1st and 10 for the Birds. They line up in their typical I formation. That's their bread and butter. They hand it off to Presley. He's got some room. And he falls forward all the way to about the 46. He's got the first down. And Tracy Presley has been so solid all year long. He's got 326 yards in the regular season, including 3 touchdowns. And how often do you see a fullback averaging 5.8 yards a carry?
I love his game, Mark, and you're right. You don't see too often a fullback averaging so many yards. It's nice to see him get the ball. He's a nice young man, and I wish him success. He's doing really well so far for the Eagles.
Maybe he's the halfback next year.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if he gets that kind of time and has that kind of consistency.
Mayer, nowhere to go. To the outside, he falls down. A huge loss of maybe 7. And that's the second time Mayer's been dropped for a loss of 5 or more. Sheldon Mayer not getting it going yet. And the scary thing is, if the Eagles don't have their Sheldon Mayer game working, they're kind of thin.
Well, I don't know. If Mayer doesn't get going, the Eagles can really, they have a lot of other places to go to, but they do need to keep going to Mayer.
That's very true, especially this early.
Especially this early. Because we talked about, Mayer's like 2 yards, 5 yards, minus 5 yards, 50 yards.
Yeah, exactly. I think they know that perfectly well. He's not going to stop getting the ball, but they'll pass it here on 2nd and long. They'll throw the screen to Sheldon Mayer. Got some blockers, and he gets about 5.
Picks up a couple yards. It's going to be 3rd down and 12 with 9:31 to go in the first half. We hear a little the ... song. I don't know. What's the title of that one?
I couldn't tell you.
I don't know what the title is. I'm looking around in the booth frantically for some name that tune specialist.
I like the ... song.
I think it's the ... song. I think so. With a little box step.
Well, the Eagles can't go away from the run, but they certainly will here on 3rd and 12 as they'll look to pick this thing up. They're not going to play anything safe on 3rd and long. Here's Shannon Mayer throwing it down the field. It's way over everybody's head. Maybe some kind of a miscommunication there, as I guess Sheldon was the closest intended target.
Looked like Aaron Roby was open. He had him on the post. Just got to get it. Roby had about 8 steps on his man. He had him clearly beat, and Shannon just couldn't get it to him.
Quite discouraging, though, how Harris has outplayed Mayer by a lot so far.
Yeah, Harris has definitely been the best back in the game so far. But Sheldon, like I said, gets it going. He has a totally different game than Harris. So
Hillenbrand fields the snap, gets the kickoff, and it's dropped momentarily. And then number 14, Nick D'Amato, is able to re-scoop it, but only gets about 3 on the return. Great special teams play on the punt again.
Who's on the play but Akeem Boyd. Boyd gets down there very quickly, makes a nice play.
Boyd being looked at by Syracuse, Temple, among other schools.
Yep.
I mean, we don't want to look forward to next year too much with this playoff run right now, but he's going to be a stud next year.
Yeah. That's for sure.
So 1st and 10 for the Whippets. Where are they going to go on this play?
Think Harris. The smart money's on Harris.
They indeed handed. Oh, it's a play action. Being chased now is Lauletta, and a diving attempt, and it's incomplete for the punt returner, Nick D'Amato.
See, the smart money was on Harris. They should have just given it to him.
I asked jokingly, as if, it was a foregone conclusion, but
right.
See, they try to go to something else, and now they're 2nd and 10, and now they only have 2 downs for Harris to get 10 yards instead of 3.
And that actually, Mark, that to me showed the key for how to beat this team.
They run it here with Harrison. He finds a hole and gets about 7.
Well, Norristown's just got to do a better job up front, and They got to keep those guys at home and stop the over pursuit. If they over pursue on that far side, then there's no one to prevent against the cutback. And even though that's not necessarily Harris's game, he did it there. Now they're going to run to Harris off tackle.
Derek Williams is indeed back in the game, returning from that minor injury. And they hand it off to Harris. He needs 3, and he gets about 5.
Off tackle.
I mean, what do you do? I feel like the Eagles are just like powerless to stop Harris. Perhaps you use some run blitzes or try to get into the backfield? Or
Some run blitzes and try to get into the backfield. That's what I do to neutralize, or to try to neutralize the threat.
You know what I do, along with that perhaps, is they have Shippen, in the free safety spot, or, Denolfo will be in there sometimes.
Right.
I say just forget it. Like, in the NFL, you'll see them bring the strong safety up into the box and just go with single safety high. Well, in high school, it's single safety high to start with. I bring them in, and then you have one-on-one on the outside.
Right.
But with Roby and Mayer, I say if you want to test them, go ahead, and if they make a good throw, you tip your hat.
Right.
But
all right. Yeah,
I'm not
I
that
agree.
like if the Eagles' defensive success is going to come down to Roby and Mayer's ability to cover one-on-one on the outside, I'll take my chances.
I'll put the money on
as
that.
opposed to Chris Harris just running down your throat, or Drew Harris. I keep calling him
Right.
Chris for some reason. Here's Harris. Stopped right at the line, but he worms forward for 3.
good vision for Harris. Nice, patient runner. Not the most speed in the world. That's not his game. His game is playing it, keeping it patient, playing it cool, picking his spots, and bowling people over when the opportunity.
He just waits for the holes to open up and then accelerates through them. And then once he starts that acceleration and gets into his little second gear, then it takes more than one guy to bring him down.
They're in the shotgun.
Laletta hands it off inside. To the outside he goes, and Sheldon Mayer bumps him out of bounds hard. And that was the spellback, number 28, Mike DiStefano, who brings a little bit more speed to the table, as you saw right there.
Oh, boy. They threw a new wrinkle into it right there with the shotgun and running out of the shotgun. You know they're not going to do too much passing, but they ran it out of that new formation. And you don't like to see that if you're Norristown, a new wrinkle being thrown in by Downingtown.
It's kind of scary because if you could pick one spot where the Eagles struggled all year, it's been the run up the middle, the bigger kind of backs. And that's exactly what Downingtown
That's
East brings to
exactly
the
what
table.
Downingtown has
They
going
match
for
up
it.
great. So it's kind of scary in that regard. 1st and 10 for the Whippets. Laletta under center once again. This is DiStefano, and he goes forward for about 4. So I'll bring up second in about 6, maybe 7.
6 minutes, 30 seconds here to go in the first half. Norristown's down 7-0. You're watching Channel 28. Dave Fazzini and Mark Kolodinsky here with you on this exciting playoff broadcast.
And the Whippets have virtually just sucked the life out of the fans, the energy that was all here, by just grinding it out. Here's DiStefano again for the 3rd straight play. And, well, I guess Harris either needs an extended breather or maybe there's something wrong with him, but I mean, we'll see. As DiStefano now comes off the field in favor of Harris. So.
And here comes Harris back in on
fresh
third
now.
Fresh on 3rd and 5. So you could pretty much take it to the bank that he's going to get the ball here.
I don't see why he wouldn't. He does, and he goes to the outside, and he's pushed out of bounds right at the stick. I think he's going to get it. Let's see if they move the chains.
That's a good point, Mark, you made about sucking the life out of the fans. A long, huge, sustained drive really, really does that.
Oh, yeah. And you're down.
Time of possession is a killer as far as taking like fan momentum and stuff
energy,
like that
just
out of the game.
like the first playoff game here in 6 years. Well, for the Eagles, period, let alone here. And all that energy, it's 7-0, and like you said, that long drive. Or these long drives.
These long drives.
Just, man, sucking the energy out.
It's
well,
4th and short.
He did not get it. He stepped out of bounds a step earlier than we thought, and it's going to be 4th and a long one.
They're going to go for this.
No doubt. They hand it off to Harris. No surprise. He's got it quite easily. And this drive will continue. I feel like they have 4 downs for Harris to get 10 yards.
Yeah.
And he makes it look easy.
He makes it look easy.
I don't know what you can do.
You got to somehow neutralize him and take him out of the game. You have to have more men up front and try just a little bit more, perhaps. I don't know if it's the run blitz, 8 men in the box, like you said. It's just frustrating watching. Well, he's a good player. He's a really good player. But he's not a great runner. And it seems like he could be stopped.
They hand it off to Harris once again. And he, again, just getting a solid chunk of about 5 or 6 yards. And the Eagles were able to neutralize Chris Smallwood last week.
Yeah.
I'd say he's pretty similar.
Pretty similar.
But I guess, I mean, you look at the record of Downingtown East, how much better they are. I just feel like this offensive line, we're not giving them enough credit.
No.
Making those holes huge for young Harris.
And Harris is just running right up the gut, and great blocking by the line.
They hand it off to him again, and he's got the first. Actually, this is DiStefano. So that's the thing. I mean, you worry if you're going to give the ball to Harris, like 95% of the plays, perhaps the Eagles can say, all right, well, we're going to wear him down. We're going to have him tired by the second half. But they have this guy DiStefano who's giving them breaks, so that doesn't look like it's really a factor.
That play right there was set up by number 60, Andrew Stegnell for the Whippets. He made a great block. The Cougars. He made a great block for the Cougars and really had to respect him.
They toss it to Harris. Harris to the outside. And a good open field tackle made by Aunt Roby. And a minimal gain this time, finally. But you know what? They kind of line up in those tight formations.
Right.
They don't really have anybody split out. So I'm telling you, just bring everyone in.
Yeah, the passing game is not their thing. That's not what they're going to do.
Heck, bring guys off the corner. Bring
Yeah.
Roby off the corner. How about that? I don't know. I don't know.
Something to disrupt the flow of the offense.
Exactly. 2nd and 7. C.J. Douglas directing traffic for the Eagles defense, and they give it to Harris. And he's met at the line, still on his feet, though, churning those legs and turns what looked like a 2-yard gain into a 5-yard gain. And this guy's only a junior.
He's only a junior. He's very strong.
He just doesn't go down.
And this first half has just flown by. There's 2 minutes, 45 seconds left to go in a half, and that's what the running game does. The running game just churns and eats the clock.
Drew Harris is like Evan Battaglia with more speed and more vision.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, it's...
Not a lot of tension in that metaphor.
Well, Letta receiving instruction from the sideline. 2 minutes and 23 seconds to go. And a timeout is called. They throw a flag,
They throw a
which I would
flag.
assume would be for delay of game. Did he get the timeout off? I don't think he did.
They got they're going to call the delay of game. That helps Norristown, but Norristown just can't let Harris pick these yards up.
So that's going to make it 3rd and about 8. That's big.
Yes. Norristown does not want to give up another score, knowing that Downingtown East is going to be getting the ball at the beginning of the second half.
That would indeed be frightening. And how appropriate since it's Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th.
While Letta in the shotgun, though, on 3rd and 8. Yet they still hand it off to Harris. Bouncing around, finishes the run. Williams finally brought him down, but he appears to be short. But it's only going to be by a minimal amount, so...
This is an interesting...
Yeah, because if you kick the field goal, you're up by 2 scores.
Conventional strategy says you have to kick the field goal. But these are not conventional times.
Yeah, and with Harris gashing up the middle the way he has been, it's got to be tempting to go for it. I think they're going to. Ooh, this is bold.
They're going for it.
Very bold. And it's 4th and about 2.
They are showing no respect for the Eagles.
Whistles before the snap. Somebody called a timeout. It was Downingtown East. So are they going to come out of this timeout in a field goal team?
I would.
Yeah, the thing is, I just think 2 scores with points being at such a premium today, with the defenses dominating, I feel like 2 scores, you got to get that. That's too big.
Take the points.
And plus, if you go for it, all it takes is one big Eagles play, and bang, momentum's all theirs. All it takes is one Mayer run, and
Right.
that's that. I mean, I kicked the field goal, no doubt.
I kicked the field goal, no doubt. You got the wind at your back. Not that it should be that big a consideration, the wind at your back at the 8-yard line, but at the same time, you need to take these points.
The kicking
Take
game
the
looked
points.
pretty looked decent on the extra
Looked decent
point.
on the extra point. In the pregame warm-ups, it looked like the kicker's
Yeah.
got some leg. I don't see any reason why you go for it here.
I'm telling you, that 2 scores thing is just huge.
Yeah.
If it were 3-0, I would say go for it. But they do not heed our advice. They're going to go.
Well, we'll see. If they pick it up, they look like geniuses. If not, they look like idiots.
4th and a long, too. The coach is clamoring for a false start. He's met right at the sticks. Oh, man.
It does not look like he made it from here, Mark.
This is really, really close and a pivotal moment in this game. Hold your breath, everybody.
He did not pick it up.
He didn't get it, and the Eagles take over on downs.
Well, they look like idiots.
And we look like geniuses.
We look like geniuses.
That's a good thing, not a bad thing.
That's a good thing, not a bad.
And the
Mark,
Eagles are right back in it.
yeah.
Not that they were ever out of it.
Not
but-
that they were out of it, and not that they would have been even if they kicked the 3.
Exactly.
You have to take the points. It's an axiom in sports. It's as axiomatic as 2 + 2 = 4. Axioms are self-evident propositions for those of you staying home and keeping track of SAT vocabulary words. You take it, do it, make it happen. Take your points.
Sheldon Mayer lined up in the slot. The Eagles backed up near their own end zone. Mayer throws, and it's incomplete. They throw the flag for pass interference. Yes.
Yep. A clear call.
It was.
He
It was.
he was interfered with.
Defender got there before the ball.
Yep.
Then the Eagles will take the yards. But, yeah, but I don't know. I mean, especially with the Eagles, just to go back to that 4th down just one more time.
Right.
Especially with the Eagles, I mean, you have to know they're going to Harris. And besides, even if they don't and they burn you on some kind of play action, I mean, again, you tip your hat because you got to defend against Harris, and you only got 7 yards to go to the end zone anyway.
Right.
So, I mean, essentially, you pick up the 1st down.
That's exactly
You don't-
right.
You're not conceding the touchdown, but I mean,
You're exactly right.
yeah. So 4 wide receivers, one of them Mayer. And Shannon Mayer drops back once again. Throws deep over the middle for Roby. He's open. He makes the catch, and he's got some room to run. Turns on the speed, and he's brought down at the 30. Yes, here we go.
Big time! Roby over the middle. There's that electrifying speed, and there is the flaw of the stupidity of that 4th down call.
Aunt Roby had 19 catches in the regular season. Averaged a robust 20 yards a catch, and that one even better. Whistles before the snap. And we'll see what this is on as the Eagles band is piping up. The fans are getting a little bit more into it. Let's go. We got
Roby electrifies the crowd with another manful play over the middle, and he gets the job done. Great job, Ann Roby. And great throw, Shannon Mayer. He had a man, he seized the day. Carpe diem, sir.
Man, you gotta love Aunt Roby. You gotta love Aunt
Gotta
Roby.
love him.
I don't think there's a better big play threat in the Suburban 1 League.
No.
Well, false start against the Eagles, though. It'll be 1st and 15. With 1:15 left to go in the quarter. They're going to spread it out again. They've been going to the throw a lot on this drive. Just Presley in the backfield beside Mayer, who's in the gun. Dropping back once more.
Good block, Presley.
Throws deep.
Got him deep.
For Mayer. Oh, and
Oh.
it's just out of his reach. Mayer combination wasn't working there, but boy, Shannon Mayer looks great though. That throw was off
Yeah.
by not much, and it was safe, whereas it couldn't have really been picked off.
Right.
The only guy who had a chance at it was Sheldon, and and now the thing is, with Mayer showing off Shannon there, that is,
Right.
gotta make that clear. But with him showing, a good arm and some good throws down the field, now perhaps it opens it up for Sheldon Mayer a little bit more.
Yes.
Because you got to respect that arm.
You got to respect the arm. 2nd and 15.
That's why you got to go to the pass, even if you do have a little bit of overflow like that, just because it makes the defense honest. Mayer dropping back the throw for the 3rd straight time, and he misses Roby. coming across the middle. I don't know what happened there.
I knew. Tracy Presley missed the block and
Threw off the entire timing.
yeah, threw off the timing of that. Presley missed the block in the backfield, and for as much credit as I gave him for the block he made on the play before, got to hold him accountable for missing that block there. He's got to make that block and pick that up.
And now it's 3rd and 15. So that's the disadvantage of passing it so much.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, there's not going to be that many points. So if you spend a drive, as Shannon Mayer is out, split out as a wide receiver, Aunt Roby's going to take the snap. Yes. It's over his head. Roby scoops it up and he's off. Going to the outside, juking back past the man and falling forward, turning a loss of 10 into a loss of 7. But what does that mean? And man, why is it that they could make those shotgun snaps, but they can't snap it in the Wildcat? It's the same thing. What's up with that?
Maybe because Roby's a little bit taller than Shannon, they overcompensate, and I don't know. I'm just throwing theories out
Who
there.
knows?
Who knows?
Extrapolating your own theorem.
Extrapolating theorems.
But hey, they have another element now that the defense has to look for. And
That's
you know
true.
what? Like I said, with points being so rare perhaps tonight with the defensive dominance, if you spend one of your drives, taking some shots where if you connect, you'll get a big play.
Right.
And on top of that, you're, causing the defense to respect another aspect of your offense. I guess it's productive.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
The Eagles opting to go for it on 4th and 25.
This is a gutsy call.
Maybe I'm calling a pooch punt from Shannon Mayer. He drops back, heaves it deep for Roby. He's got it. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Goodness.
You've got to be kidding me.
What? Are you kidding me?
What just
Are
happened?
you kidding?
What just happened?
That's crazy. Whoa. Oh my
Are
God.
you
My heart
kidding
just stopped
me?
twice.
Wow. Jared Fox tacks it on. It's 7-7. What the heck?
I'm speechless.
I've
And
seen
voiceless.
it all. I've seen it all. What can you say about that? There's no words cannot describe that. Coach E.J. Smith and his coaching staff opted to go for it on 4th and 25. And wow, they convert it, hit a long touchdown to Aunt Roby, and it's a 7-7 game. I didn't know the Eagles had plays for 4th and 25.
Oh my goodness, that was just 1 yard off of the mythical 4th and 26.
How about that?
My goodness. Wow. My voice and heart are in weird shape.
The kickoff is high and goes to about the 20-yard line. The return only gets them about 3. The Eagles' special teams coverage has been dominant.
Even though D'Onofrio was held and clipped on that play, he still made the tackle.
Wait, did that really happen?
I don't think so. Is it still 7-0? Wow.
Are you kidding me?
I think that the sheer audacity of that play, I mean, you got to go all in because it's playoff time, but I could not have expected such brazen, manful, Beowulfian audacity. That was too much.
Perhaps E.J. Smith is Nostradamus as Harris falls forward for a few.
Wow. Oh, the just brazen nature of that play is unbelievable.
You just don't go for it on 4th and 25. It just doesn't happen.
Talk about axioms.
It just doesn't happen. Wow. Wow. 2nd and 7. Harris running it up the middle. And he's only going to get about...
They're going to let the clock run out.
No, look at the first as he bursted forward. And that looks like it'll do it for the half. There's still 1 second on the clock. Was there a timeout called? The Eagles called a timeout. Nah, they'll wind it now. And that'll take us to halftime. So in the most unbelievable fashion, the Eagles answered a Chris Harris touchdown with a long Ant Roby touchdown on 4th and 25. That's right, 4th and 25.
We'll see you guys after the half. We need to process, let it simmer, let it marinate.
Find out if it actually happened.
Oh my God, yeah. I need to go down and talk to some fans to make sure that I saw what I saw. We'll see you guys in a bit. Dave Fazzini and Mark Kolodinsky, Channel 28. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Dave Fazzini and Mark Kolodinsky here with you from Sassano's, and we're here tonight, Mark, to talk about the seniors and kind of honor them. It's could possibly be, hopefully will not be, the last night for Norristown football for the 2009-2010 football season. Mark, I think that all of our success this season as a football team pretty much rests across the broad and manly back of our stalwart seniors. And of course, seniors like Sheldon Mayer and Anthony Roby get a lot of accolades, but let's talk about perhaps some of the unsung heroes that really made this season tick. Who would be some of your first picks when you think of really stalwart senior leadership? Who are some of the guys you really found to be positive contributors to this team?
Well, a bunch come to my mind right away. Nick Bloomer, offensive lineman. You know, it's just underrated in general. One of the captains he is. Derek Williams, C.J. Douglas on defense, both tackling machines. Derek Williams made some huge plays. He even scored on defense, along with Roby, the only Eagle to do that all year. And, yeah, I mean, of course, everyone, like you said, knows about Mayer, Roby, all those guys. But a lot of the seniors are the backbone of this team. Nico DeSilvio, another one. The defense is really led by seniors. So, yeah, they've had a huge part, not just the big names and the stars, but really all of them.
And to that, I might add that the seniors really have been allowed to gel as a unit, and that's a real credit to the coaching staff. Coach E.J. Smith has really built a team, and they stress the concept of family. And we spoke about this several times during the season, as these guys stuck together through both the lean times and the robust times. But really, there haven't been too many lean times for the Eagles this year. And that senior leadership really with the defensive line of Evan Battaglio and Larry Smith and the rotating tackle combination of Bloomer, of guys like that who really have struck a blow, so to speak, for the importance of making sure that you have a good farm system coming up. And really one of the things I really like about the senior team and the senior leadership is that they've really done a good job setting the way and showing the path for some of the younger guys. Seniors like, let's say, C.J. Douglas, we'll start with him and being an important part of the defense and that middle linebacker position really holding it down. Let's talk a little bit about some of the seniors on defense and really their important contributions. The secondary, of course, but also the linebacking core.
Well, yeah, I mentioned DeSilvio, and of course, like you just said, Douglas. And yeah, of course, it starts with the defensive line, but the linebackers have been huge. C.J. Douglas is top 5 in the league in tackling. And he made the conversion from defensive end over the offseason, and it's just a testament to the kind of work these guys do. It's not easy to just switch positions like that, but this guy's such an athlete and worked hard enough that he could, you know, shift his skills over to that position and be effective. And then, you know, Nico DeSilvio had, I mean, you said how there weren't that many adverse times, and that's true. I mean, a 9-1 record. But for Nico DeSilvio, he suffered an injury. He was the starting center for the first couple of weeks. But with that injury, Kyle McClure, an underclassman, stepped up real big, and he was kind of bumped out of that position. but with shifting his focus over to linebacker and just started dominating there. Times Herald Defensive Player of the Week when he had a sack and a couple huge tackles for loss. Then he followed it up with another similar performance the next week, and then he's just been solid for the latter half of the season. And it's, it's things like that these guys, it just shows how hard they work and how much they don't give up and how much they've bought into the team as opposed to themselves. And it's really prevented distractions this year. They've really gelled well.
Another thing this senior team has done and gotten together, and a lot of Norristown athletes, avoid the weight room as if they were allergic to it. But this football team gets down there, they work, and when they get down there, they don't just work, but they do a focused routine, and the senior leadership has really been on a lot of these upperclassmen who don't show up downstairs, who don't put their time in. And if they don't work in the off season, they're not at 9-1. And I've really got to say to some of the guys like Larry Smith and Christian Exum and some of the guys who really hit the weights hard this year, that's what leadership is all about. People like going out on Friday nights and playing under the lights. What people don't like, and what is anathema to so many high school athletes, is the concept of masculinity and manness in the weight room. We don't typically see that, but we saw that from this football team, and for that, they get a lot of respect, particularly this senior football team who really has gotten it done. And I said, Mark, the conditioning is such an important part, and the work that they do in the off season is unseen and unheralded. But they don't do that, they're not winning. And the size of our offensive line, that really has become a really important factor in our success. We've been steamrolling over teams and dominating them, and seniors like Marcus Robbins and Larry Smith and Evan Battaglio bringing the pain, big size, and nobody can contend with that.
Yeah, that's true. Christian Exum, here's a guy who kind of came out of nowhere, more or less, to become a real valuable guy. Not a star, but very valuable, and that's what it's all about. You got to have those guys to back up your stars. There's so many stars in this league, but their teams aren't effective because they don't have guys around them. So it's those guys that get it done. Christian Exum, you talk about the hard work that all these Eagles have done. I think Christian Exum's the epitome of it. This guy's he's just a gym rat. This guy benches 405. Just ridiculous. And, it's shown on the field. It really has. And, I think it's that discipline and that focus and that team thing. I think that's the difference from previous years. We haven't made the playoffs since 2003. I think the talent's been there in some, if not all of those years. It's not like this team's especially talented, although they are extremely talented. But, just compared to past teams, I think it's the discipline, the focus. It's just the mental things, the intangibles that have this team, put them over the top and making them district contenders rather than just, a very talented, but you don't even want to call them a team, just a talented bunch of football players. This is really a team. And they put the team first before themselves. That's what's extremely important.
And the concept of team really has really shined this year. And all of the seniors have contributed to making Norristown area high school football this year much more than just a team, but also a family. So as we sign off with our tribute to this year's senior class and also this year's senior football players, we leave you with that. We leave you with the concept that the Norristown area high school football team this year has really gelled as one cohesive unit. And that's thanks in no small part to the proficiency of the senior leadership. This is Dave Fazzini and Mark Kolodinsky from Sasanos, signing off.